everyone. I'm Kelsey,
And I'm JPET.
and you're listening to the Box Officers Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to leave us a star rating or review wherever you're listening to this episode.
Watching a bad movie, it's like witnessing a serious crime. But have no fear, the box officers are here. Each episode, Kelsey, Georgette, and I will review a new movie. And at the end of each episode, we will classify the film according to the severity of punishment.
Yes, films can be convicted of a felony, a misdemeanor, an infraction, or on the rare occasion, found innocent. This week, we're going to be reviewing the drama. So if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to want to pause this episode now. There's going to be so many spoilers. But otherwise, we can get into the episode. For those who missed our announcement last week, Georgette is still with us. She is just
Yes.
pursuing her law degree and it's final season, so she's busy. But we will see her face back after
Yeah.
a very successful final season.
Yeah. She'll be able to fund this even more after she completes
Yes.
all your money.
So the drama. I love that everyone is
Mhm.
talking about this, and I think we should just kind of like get right into it. Like, if we're gonna, let's give some stats real quick. At the box office, opening weekend, 26
Mhm.
million. The budget was only 28 million. Like,
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good
they're,
start, right?
yes. And that's honestly good for them because if you're making a movie and the budget is like 300 million, 400 million, okay, it better be a
Yeah.
good movie. I mean, obviously, like, good luck reaching your goals. But
Right.
28 million, that's super reasonable. Like, I feel like that's the kind of movie I want to make. $28 million budget movies. That's the way to go. Distributed by A24, one of our favorite production companies. And then we have IMDb 7.5 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 77%. That feels
Mm.
okay.
It feels a little low.
I was
But I
going to say it
mean,
feels
yeah,
low on the Rotten Tomatoes side, in my opinion, but
yeah. Especially when I mean, you got Zendaya and Robert Pattinson there, so I feel like it would have just been swarmed by like fan accounts. People just being like, "Oh, my favorite actor or actress is in there," so
mm,
therefore they're already biased. But
I don't
surprisingly,
know. I don't know that they are the type of people who would, I don't know, garner that kind of support. Not because I don't think they deserve it. I just, I don't see a ton
the
of
stance,
minions following behind them in the way that you would see, like, I don't know, the Barbs.
yeah,
I don't see them having that kind of like crazy hive. And I don't know. I feel like that's more of a music thing too. I don't see them like going as hard for the actors, which
you'll
is
be right.
interesting.
Yeah,
But speaking of Zendaya, I just have to put this out there. Girl, sister,
she did great.
queen, I'm so sorry.
You were talking
I
so much mess.
I'm so sorry. I don't care what they say about you.
Documented too. Like you were talking mess on the podcast. Crazy.
Unfortunately. And the thing is, I've always thought Zendaya's like a outstanding woman. It was just the performances were not resonating with me for a long time. And I'm going to go, I don't know. I think now I'm starting to think it's the projects she was doing. And that's my
Hmm.
fault for like not categorizing them appropriately. I don't think I should judge anyone's best acting abilities based off of like their performance in a Marvel movie just because those movies are
Yeah.
different. Like, we're there for like, I don't know, the grandiose of it all, but not necessarily for like Academy
The
Award winning
acting.
performances. It's
Yeah.
the story that
It's the
carries so
action.
much of that. The action, and it's
Hmm.
just like otherworldly. And so that's why we're there. But then I looked back after this movie and I said, oh, I've been wrong about her for a while because I thought about it, and she does amazing in Euphoria. She did
Hmm.
amazing in Challengers. So it's not that we haven't seen her show up before, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like the Spider-Man stuff wasn't resonating with me super well, and then Dune, unfortunately, wasn't resonating with me. But then when I went back and thought about it, I'm
Even the
like, she's
last
barely
film,
in it.
even the second one.
Okay, were you on that episode when we reviewed that movie?
Dune 2. I don't think
Nobody
I
ever watch
was.
it.
I don't think I was there yet.
I don't
Nah, that
think you
was
were
like
there.
2024. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had a lot to say, and I just felt like at the time, everybody was, like,
About her or about
really
the movie? Because I love Dune 2.
about
I feel like I
her.
feel like I saw it with you guys. It was me, Miles. Did I see it with Miles? I can't remember.
It's
I feel like I saw it
possible.
with yeah. But I definitely we weren't on there though.
Yeah, so it
Mhm.
was basically me saying, like, I just felt like everybody else kind of outacted her in that film. But then
Mm,
again, you think about their roles and the character that Austin Butler's playing, right, is obviously going to call for a lot more so he could show off a lot more. And so it's things like
yeah.
that you got to take into consideration. So I'm like, is it that I didn't like her acting, or is it that I don't typically like the characters she plays and that they are never like dragging me in? They're just
Yeah.
supporting characters at best. But I feel like I was watching that and I forgot that was Zendaya. Emma was all I saw. I was like eating out of the palm of her hand. Like she did so good. And I just was like, girl, I really just have
Hmm.
to I've spoken about her so much I have to apologize. She's coming from Disney Channel in my head. So I think part of me always categorized her as like, I don't know, I see her and my mind goes to Shake It Up, which again is a very different level. And I think it's the same thing honestly that we
Yeah.
had to go through with Robert Pattinson because when they first said that he was the Batman, I said, "Why who's responsible?" And
Does your
then
mind go to
of
Twilight
course
when you think of Robert?
it did for a very long
Oh,
time, and I
okay.
was like, "I don't think he can handle this, Imma be so real, I don't think he can handle it."
That scared the mess out of me. What? This dang movie clip sign. The way it fell, it sounded like somebody like smacked their hand like on the couch, like
I'm surprised that's never happened before.
right.
Robert Pattinson, I thought he would not be able to pull off Batman, but then I thought about it, and I'm like, "No, I can't, like, keep
Mm,
him in this box." Because then I think about movies like Tenet, and I was obsessed with that movie for the longest time, and he just really stepped up. And even Batman was amazing. And I just
mm,
think, it happens to a lot of child actors. I just feel like not all child actors have what it takes to be an adult actor. And for these two specifically, I do think I questioned it for a very long time. Consider me silenced.
yeah,
Consider me silenced.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
I've been put in my place. So,
yeah. I've always thought about. I mean, I've always seen Robert Pattinson as Batman. I didn't like pay too much attention to like
sure.
the Twilight series. So when I
Interesting.
saw, I guess I feel like Twilight
That's
was
so
kind of like his.
interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. That's just for me.
To
I
like
mean, what you
to like
call
see him as like Batman and you not like that not be
y-
your association. It's so fresh.
yeah, it's fresh, and then at the same time, it's like a lot of people they see him in Twilight, and I feel like if you were to compare how he looked in Twilight and how he looked in Batman, it's almost two different people, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I like totally missed out on Twilight. I just knew it was like a big girl craze at the time. I think I was like in middle school,
Mhm.
early high school maybe. So yeah, Robert Pattinson grew on me when it came to the Batman. As for the Zendaya, I haven't watched Shake It Up in so long. Even though like I remember that was my first time seeing her in Shake It Up. That was like her debut,
Mhm.
her big break. I associate her with Spider-Man pretty much. Like
Okay.
since she's done like what, three Spider-Man movies at this point. So in recent history, I like her face is associated with Spider-Man for me. But she's got some range. I wish I saw Challengers. I haven't seen
You
Challengers
haven't
yet.
seen it even at home?
Mm-mm. I haven't seen it on any
Wow.
streaming platforms. Like
That
I
was one that had perfect like cinematography in my opinion.
yeah,
So beautiful and creative. I saw things
yeah.
I hadn't seen before. You're getting shots like from the tennis ball's point of view, which is
Oh
interesting.
wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's like going back and forth like they're like volleying. I'm so glad Georgette's not here, honestly, because all she was gonna say was like, Kelsey, you literally every time I criticize Zendaya's acting, she's like, you hate Zendaya, and I'm like, no, I am a huge fan of her. I'm a movie critic. I be critical at times. That's all. And
Yeah.
I just remember like funny story when I was in middle school, I went to a Big Time Rush concert and the opener was do you know who Big Time Rush is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the opener was Zendaya. And
Oh,
so
that's
I've seen her perform live, which was really cool. I was like 13 or something, maybe 12 years old.
dang.
And I didn't get a picture with her, but I got a picture with her dad, which is kind of random, but I just really, I don't know, girl.
Yeah.
I'll never speak on her again. I'm so sorry. How did you feel about Elena Haim, so the girl that played Rachel?
I feel like the way she played Rachel, like if I were to see her in person, like I just wouldn't like her. Like I'm like, because I didn't like her so much in the movie. I'm like, if I see you in person, I'm like, I'm not gonna like you.
And it
Like,
sucks because she's in
yeah,
like a music group with her sisters and stuff, and it's like
yeah,
now everyone's just gonna look at you and like hate you.
right,
It's no
exactly,
longer about your music ever again because you unfortunately sold me that that was who you were.
right. That's how real the acting was, and like, yeah, the way she acted out her character, Rachel and everything. I was just like, you remember the text I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
when, yeah. So, but overall, to make a person make somebody dislike a fictional character, they did a great job with that in the film because she just seemed like so unreasonable and like so like I get it, like you have this situation with the family member who got shot and stuff, but like the girl you're supposed to be the maid of honor for didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I told you the reasoning behind it. You can bring up my text later when we start going over.
I was gonna say the last few episodes I've had screenshots of text messages from you put into the YouTube
Yeah.
videos. So how do you feel about Mama Doe? Is it Mama Doe?
No, it's Mamadou. Yeah, Mamadou.
Okay. And
Yeah, I liked him. I liked his character. He seemed the most reasonable, it seemed like. And he also seemed like a good, like, side character, I guess, to Charlie. So
the
I think
only
he did
normal
pretty good.
person.
Yeah, pretty much the only, yeah, closest to normal person. I mean, I feel like besides him, I think Emma was close to normal, before all of that crazy stuff happened. Like she was just kind of like, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I didn't go through with it. And she got help and things like that. She was with a peer group and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I liked his character, the way his character reacted to things. Yeah.
I think
What about
some
you?
supporting I agree for sure.
Hmm.
I thought he did a great job, but I trusted him. I think I like all of his performances. So
Yeah, yeah,
I was really happy to see him in this because I didn't know that he was in it. I don't think I was paying attention during trailers and stuff.
yeah,
Also, Haley Gates, who played the coworker, Misha,
yeah.
and then
Misha.
Zoe Winters, who played the photographer. These are two supporting characters that just
Yeah,
really showed up. The comedic timing on like Zoe, I don't know if the photographer had like a name, but the delivery there was like 10 out of 10. She was
yeah,
so funny. I need to see more of that girl. I really
yeah,
like her.
yeah. They're pretty.
They
Yeah,
both did great.
yeah. It was a good supporting cast. A lot of those faces were like, it was like my first time seeing their faces.
Mm,
At least according to because you'll see actors or actresses in different movies, but they'll look completely different. But it was like my first. It felt like my first time seeing their faces, but like their acting was just like overall, it blended in with the story. I feel like
mm-hmm.
all of those actors, it didn't feel like somebody didn't get their job done. You know,
Mm,
like I said, like it felt like real, and that's what made the uncomfortable situations so like uncomfortable to me because
mm-hmm.
I was like stressed out most of that movie with everything that
Mm-hmm.
was going on. But yeah, those two
Yeah,
definitely added to it.
absolutely. Everyone
Uh,
delivered. You know, everyone showed up. I don't know if you've seen this poster. It's the first image in our packet. It was a
Oh yeah, yeah.
promotional poster. Did you see the one that was in the movie and notice anything different?
No, no, what was it?
She, instead of having her hand and she's showing her ring, she's pointing a gun at his head. She's doing like finger
Oh,
like at his
oh,
head
okay,
in the
yeah,
movie. I thought that was so creative and funny. I didn't
yeah,
catch it, but people online did, and I thought like, wow.
that's smart.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor in this movie. So, I'm curious. Let's unpack this.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it were you, what if you are is his name
Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
If you're Charlie,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Like, okay, this is somebody that you've dated for the past 2 years.
Exact same situation.
Yeah, you
3 years.
already engaged to her, and then she comes out with some information out of the blue where it's
That
like,
specific
yeah,
information.
yeah, where it's like, yeah, I planned to do a school shooting at one point, but I didn't go through with it. Now, first,
Because
I'm
someone
gonna,
else did it that day.
yeah, first I'm gonna want some context because I'm just be like, wait, like you for real? Like you actually did like thought about this? But I'm not going to. For one, I'm not going to stay stuck on it. And I think I said this in the text. I'm like, I'm gonna just write it down as a fun fact. I'm gonna get some context. I'm gonna get some context, and then I'll be like, okay, well, that was 15 years ago. You're a completely different person from a school shooter. You're completely different from who you were back then, and that's all that matters. I wouldn't start thinking, oh, is she crazy? Is she some like psycho killer that's gonna take me out of my sleep and this and that? I'm like, she didn't do it. It'd be different if she did do it and then you just never found out about it. Nobody ever found out about it. That would be different. That's when it's like, okay, we need to have some conversation because you killed the kids. But I'm sure in a lot of schools, maybe even in ours at one point, there have been kids that have been at the point
Yes,
where
there
they're
were.
just like, yeah, there were. That's it.
We'll talk later. We went to
Okay.
high school together for context, guys.
Maybe I don't remember this or I was never informed, but that's crazy. But
I
was it you?
and so for no, what? For those that don't know, Georgette, J Pat, and I, we all went to high school together. And then J Pat and I went to college together, but obviously stayed really close to
Yeah.
Georgette. And I mean, we all graduated years ago, but remained friends. So yes,
Dang, it was not that bad. It was like
it
maybe 90 something of us.
I think that's the point the movie is trying to make as
Uh,
well, is that
yeah,
like this girl thinks that she's just being treated so horribly and it's just someone who pushed her in the hallway, which isn't nice, but we
sure.
don't kill people in response to
Exactly.
that. And
Yeah.
so I think that happens to a lot of kids at that age. You can't regulate your emotions as well. And so if you're
Yeah.
not having like a healthy adult to show you and help you work through that stuff, then yeah, you start crashing out in a really weird way, which sometimes
Right.
results in, I guess, planning shootings. I guess that's what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, that makes my point. I'm pretty sure there have been kids like that in every school who get to that point.
Hmm.
So I was laughing at that part where her computer kept like turning off because
Yeah. Take
it's
the
like,
hit,
yeah,
girl.
it's not taking you serious. But yeah, I would have just unpacked it, and then after that, it just would have been like, for one, you're not who you were back then. Two, I'm engaged to you, so it's like it's kind of like water under the bridge at this point. As long as I would just unpack it, and then I would be like, okay, you're not who you were back then. We're engaged now, so this shouldn't be an issue. And I mean, that's what a regular person would do. In this case, Charlie, he just started to freak out. Now, don't give it like it wasn't just him. I feel like Rachel's character, I feel like she made it worse for Charlie
I think
because
she did
she
too, because
treated
he
it,
didn't low
yeah,
key. He didn't seem to trip immediately.
yeah, exactly. He wasn't tripping immediately,
He seemed
and
taken
then
aback, but he didn't. He didn't start bugging until she went like ballistic, and I
yeah,
feel like he was just like caught off guard because that's like an insane thing to share. He
yeah,
seemed like, I think he would have digested that differently, but she made it sound like this was just insane, which Rachel as a whole is such an interesting character. I saw people online talking about it as well, because it's like You literally, in my opinion, first of all, both of
Hmm.
these things are bad. And let's just say all sins are equal, whatever. But objectively, right, if I had to pick what was worse, I think what Rachel did was worse. Because at the end of the day, even if I planned the shooting and I was going to do it, at the end of the day, I never did it, point blank, period. And I actually showed serious remorse for it. And I just feel like she, at first, the gun activism, the reform stuff was really
Hmm.
performative, and I think she was just doing it for the sake of, like, I don't know, it was giving she's out there LARPing, but I think that it became real for her at a certain point, and I think that she showed genuine, genuine, genuine remorse. Rachel's over here locks a kid and somebody who has a
Yeah.
disability in the middle of the woods, so you don't even know who's coming back to this trailer, if they could be literally a pedophile, you don't know, and they
Yeah.
come and lock this kid in the woods. You hear them screaming for help, and your response is to turn, run away, lie to your parents, lie to their parents. The police come out and search, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this person literally was gonna die, and I don't care what that girl says. She would have left that person in the closet had the police not found them. And I just think that that is literally
Hmm.
attempted murder and not planned murder. It's attempted. So, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that's way worse. And for her to just be so hypocritical, it's like so stark that it's jarring. And I think it also, a lot of people were saying it kind of is, it puts the thought in your head about like who gets grace versus who doesn't. You think about even Emma giving Charlie grace after the cheating thing, and it's like she's so quick to give this grace, and then nobody wants to give this Black girl who's changed her life 15 years ago any kind of
Yeah.
room to breathe. And I just think that's an interesting point as well.
Yeah. Because I feel like if you have a troubled tween or like teenager and they almost do something that of course they would have regretted or they wouldn't even have the chance to regret because they'll
I
off
was just say,
themselves. Yeah. And they do
oh,
something
well,
like that. And they do something like that. But I mean, for one, they're troubled, and then two, it's been 15 years since then. You can obviously tell they've grown into a mature, respectable adult that doesn't have those. I mean, did Charlie just not realize over the past 3 years that she's never had any type of, violent tendencies with him or craziness?
mhm.
Did he not just think about that? So I think, all in all, I think Charlie was crazier than Emma, and that just
He was
stressed Emma out.
acting crazier during that week for sure, at
Yeah,
least.
they're in that week, definitely. I mean, he did technically like sexually assault a woman as well. She. I'm not sure that scene. I can't really.
It was interesting because I would say, it's just a lot of factors. I don't think, I don't know. I've seen differing opinions on it. In
Yeah,
my
I can't say
perspective,
I can't see if it
I
was like
think
sexual assault, but
that's what her boyfriend said. But I think,
yeah,
to me, I mean, it seemed like she was consenting given the act of
yeah,
turning around, bidding over, but at the same time, um, I don't think we got enough of her thoughts when it came to that, because you could also say, like, this is her boss, so there's like a weird power dynamic there. And then, like, also it's a little
uh,
weird emotionally the way that he went about it, because he basically like told her this sob story is like crying,
yeah,
which like opens up a little bit more of like vulnerability than like there should be between them. And then he
yeah,
kisses her and rips her blouse open. She didn't do either of those things. And so that
yeah.
feels odd and
But my point is like that's
pushy.
crazy. Like just because you're having a stressed out moment and doing all of that, you don't
Yeah,
just enact on you don't that's not sane. You don't just act
it's not.
on that type of thing. That's where I'm like, yeah, Charlie was definitely more crazy than Emma in this movie. And then Rachel was just fueling him, just making that worse. Because I think he had several run-ins with Emma where he was just kind of like, I guess, trying to convince her to be the maid of honor, or trying to convince her that not run-ins with Charlie, trying to, I mean, run-ins with Rachel. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Where he's trying to convince her Emma is not this terrible bad person,
Hmm.
and Rachel is just stuck on the fact that she almost did something, and therefore she's just some terrible person. I'm like, you about to be the girl's maid of honor. you've known this girl for the past however many years, you know, why are you acting like why didn't you didn't even try to have a conversation on, you know, with her.
That's what
You
I'm saying.
just
I'm like immediately dropped like
yeah,
immediately, which I'm like
went
Rachel is
off.
like so fake cuz for you to
Yeah,
drop her immediately like that and not even want to offer her a sober conversation, like you've already felt some type of way about her like and
yeah.
it showed in her maid of honor speech too, but I was going to say I think it's just also something to think about cuz I don't see anyone like okay, I think we're all stuck on the fact that Charlie cheated, which really soured that character for a lot of people, which I understand because I just don't see how that was helpful at all. And I think,
Yeah.
though, the narrative wise, they kind of used that moment to put him in a position where he needed to experience like almost doing something bad. If you think about it, it's not the same as
Mm,
the school shooting, but you think about it, it puts him in a position where he almost did something bad, but he didn't go through with it, and it forces him to reflect, well, am I a bad person? But am I horrible? Do I deserve
true.
forgiveness? And it kind
That
of
makes sense.
allows him to like see her. So, like, in terms of like storytelling, I think it made sense. I kind of get it. I also kind of hate it though because his character doesn't even seem like the kind of man to do that. And I think, I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't do it, and so that's maybe the point that he didn't go through with it. But it's just the fact that he even like initiated something like that. He actually never gave off that kind of energy at all.
Mm,
So I just, I don't know what he was thinking in that moment. He was obviously crashing out. My thought though is like I actually don't think it's bad if Charlie is so disturbed by this that he doesn't want to be with her. Like I think that's insane information. Me personally, if I were Charlie, I don't think I would end my marriage or engagement over it either just because it's like the fact that you were literally a like teenager, a child, and you've reformed so much and you clearly like she stuck with the activism thing. So again, even if it started off as just like kind of fake almost in a way, I
yeah.
feel like it became real. And she's somebody who's proven that for almost 2 decades straight, like she clearly is like not aligned with those views and it was a mistake and it was clearly a girl that just needed some friends and some community. Her parents seemed a bit absent. And so I just think you put that context together and it's like if you in 3 years haven't picked up on anything with this person, it might be because it's not there anymore. And
Yeah.
again, I think he gained that perspective after his own biggest mistake. Because I think this all started because they were like, what's the worst thing you've ever done? If you remember, Charlie Loki hadn't done anything horrible ever, really. And so if you
Yeah.
think about it, the worst thing he ever did happened that week when he cheated on his fiance. And so I think
Mhm.
that is putting him in a position where he can like have that level of empathy. And I think the reason that Emma has that level of empathy is because she had something like that happen so early on that
Yeah.
she wanted forgiveness and so she gives forgiveness. She wants acceptance, so she gives acceptance, which I think makes sense. And um you just think about the way that the DJ, they all thought the DJ was doing like I don't know, heroin or something crazy. I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
Emma was the only one who was like, "Oh no, like why would we take away her job just cuz she did something maybe, we don't even know for sure one time." And you think about it, it's like of course she is open because she's not set on like labeling one person to one mistake or one choice or one decision. And but I think if Charlie thought that marrying someone who almost shot up their school is crazy, then I think
Yeah.
he had that right, but he actually would have had to make that decision. And I think where he went wrong was like kind of dragging her through that week because that's unfair to her to like withhold like emotionally and physically and mentally and like just kind of drag her through this stress of not knowing if my husband wants to marry me or not
Mhm.
when he should have just delayed the wedding like she said because you can't just drag people along like that. But I thought it's
Yeah.
crazy, so it's okay to feel jarred by that. And also I think it's probably the fact that she lied about her hearing that probably threw him off too because it's like that's kind of a big thing to lie about. So I think and it's such a intimate part of their relationship too, the hearing thing. So I think
Mhm.
for him that was probably like part of it too, like how can you lie to me so easily and like what else probably. I think there's a lot of factors there, so I understand why Charlie was taken aback. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying it was wrong for him to feel taken aback or just be like you said, he has that right. But I feel like like you have the right to feel that way, but I mean at the same time, it's just decision making. Like yeah, you have to have
Right.
decision making skills. It's like, do you want to act on this just because you have the right, or do you want to, consider the other person in whatever you decide to do? But yeah, I actually, before I was watching the movie, I thought it would be a bit more of a romance because I'd seen the previews and stuff like that, and it just seemed like a cutesy little, like romance movie to me. I had no idea it was going to like dive so deep into like, oh, her being a almost school shooter and then all the drama that happened, the drama, all the drama that happens, going to, going forward. So I
Hmm.
was pleasantly surprised with that.
And I think the trailer that I saw, like I barely paid attention and I knew obviously something went wrong, but I couldn't tell what because like they don't put that in the trailer or the marketing, which I think was super smart
Aaron.
to leave that out because it was shocking, but we do know like, oh, something something goes wrong. She reveals something and it's like, what could she possibly say that is that bad? I'm like, oh, well, that's one of the things you could say that would be considered
Yeah,
pretty bad and shocking and also not something to bring up 5 days before you get married. But
fact.
in terms of like you thinking it was a romance, I still think there's elements of it that were romantic up until a
Oh,
point.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I took away it was more of a dramedy, like drama, comedy, which is fine with me, and I laughed a lot, and so did my theater. However, some
Hmm.
criticism I've seen is a lot of people, not everybody, but I've seen it a few times where people just feel like the movie is talking about such a serious topic in terms of like school shootings, something so sensitive, and
Yeah.
yet they were like they're basically not taking it seriously at all. Like they feel like it was handled irresponsibly. They're not making it seem like they're making it something to laugh at and basically like not living up to their responsibility of like how to handle a topic like that. To which I heavily disagree, guys. Like
I
first of all,
do. Yeah.
the whole undertone of it, not everything has to be explicit. Sometimes you need to have implicit interpretations. And so I feel like the undertone of it is like, obviously, it's not okay. That's why it's a whole big deal. It's because it's
Yeah.
not okay. So it's not like anyone's saying, like, oh, it's a casual thing. Literally, everyone around her is saying, like, you're a horrible person for this. I don't know if I want to marry you. I don't know if I want to be your friend. I don't know if I want to be your maid of honor because you suck. So I feel like it's not portrayed lightly, but the movie is
Hmm.
funny in terms of like when she's filming her videos and the camera keeps going out and she's making all these threats and it's like, okay, girl, like she looks crazy
Yeah.
because she's like 13 and trying to be so hard, right? And
Yeah.
then you think about like her with the mug and it says something about like coffee or I'll shoot
Like
or
coffee or
whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
And then the photographer going through the list and it's like
Shoot.
grandparents shoot
Shoot.
TBD. That was
Oh,
like one of the
yeah.
funniest parts of the movie. I mean, the writing for this was great. I think the guy that directed it also was the creator, the writer, Christopher Borgli, I believe. Yes. So basically, people were saying, like, I guess it should have been more informative or taken better care of this. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, guys. Like, it's also brought up in the movie. Like, it's a desensitized subject. It doesn't mean that we're not all incredibly mortified and disturbed by it, but it just means that just because we're talking about a serious thing doesn't mean we can't put it in a comedy movie, which I think goes back to like, you think about all the movies and things we used to be able to make and TV shows we used to be able to make with this kind of
Yeah.
dark humor and these offensive jokes and things and how
Yeah.
nowadays generations can't handle that or digest that. I get
Yeah.
it, but it's at the end of the day, like people can make movies for entertainment. Not everything has to advocate
Yeah.
for
I feel like
something
they're kind of yeah. They're like it's like being performative, really. That's what
extremely, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Because I mean, we've seen people make fun about, racism, fun
I
about
was gonna
wars,
say
fun
slavery
about,
is the butt
P
of so many
words.
jokes.
Yeah. We've
What's the
seen
P
people
word?
the evil P word.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get you.
Yeah, yeah. We've seen, people make jokes about that, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, school shooting is a serious topic, but then at the same
Absolutely.
time, look like if you look at Emma and that whole, her trying to be all God thinking hard and like, make her whole little what do they call it? It's just whatever they write in.
Manifestos and
Yeah, her
stuff.
whole little manifesto, and then they downplay it because it's kind of like, look how silly you look. You know,
Hmm.
like you're doing all of this, for what? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's just real. You don't have to make an infographic out of a topic just
Yeah.
because it's serious. You know,
Yeah. And if
that's
you're really
yeah,
if you're really like digesting it in the way that like I don't know, you should. I think those again, the movie did not owe you that. It never came across
yeah,
as anything serious or like I don't know, like it was supposed to garner any kind of like I don't know. I just feel like y'all are expecting something from this movie that it never claimed to be. It's
hmm,
an A24 film. Like why are you taking it
yeah,
so seriously? It never said it was a serious thing. And
yeah,
it can talk about a serious thing and still like be humorous, but I still think that they did a really good job of like the understanding. The whole reason why this works is because school shootings are bad and
hmm,
children who act out like that and are being bullied need support. And the movie shows that because look at how quickly this girl bounced back when she made a friend. Like it was
right.
instant. So I think those messages are in there if you like pay attention. But if you wanted this movie to come out and be like, I don't know. I don't know. They were like, "You guys only support Emma
Like,
because Zendaya is pretty," and I'm like, "No,
no,
like it
it's
just
kind of
makes
like,
sense that
yeah,
people can grow." I'm sorry.
yeah. I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to serious topics, that
Mhm.
they're so used to they think in almost like a black and white type of way. Like
Extremely.
there's a lot of topics where it's just black and white when there's really a gray area in the middle. Kind of like in this situation, Emma thought about, hurting these kids. She thought about committing a school shooting, but the movie makes you think about it because it's the fact that she didn't, and it's 15 years in the future where she's a completely different person. And then also she did the work within herself to not be that type of person anymore. So it's like, do you forgive her? Or would you
Mhm.
forgive her? Would you forgive a
Mhm.
family member or a friend that went through the same thing and almost did the same thing? Or would you just be like, oh no, school shooting bad. If you ever thought about it, that makes you a terrible person for life. You're not allowed, you're not welcome into society, or, you should be, hung from the gallows. And then I think
Literally.
that's how some people are taking this topic, where it's just like they didn't take this topic of school shooting serious enough, because, and I guess the performative people in their head, they're thinking school shooting, if you ever even thought about it, if you ever even thought about hurting just one person, then that means you should be like, you know, taken off the face of this place. It's when in reality, it's really
I
more
don't
gray
know
than
what
that.
they want.
Yeah.
I would be
It's like,
curious what they would change about the movie to achieve the
yeah,
goal they think it should have
yeah,
achieved. Like I'd be super duper curious to hear genuinely how would you change the plot or the writing to
right.
be enough for you. And I would say also the movie almost in a way, in my opinion, it talks about people like that. And I
Yeah,
feel like they're the Rachels because it's the same way that Rachel heard this thing and she was like, "Didn't you hear about my cousin who's in a wheelchair and was a victim of a school shooting? That's horrible." And it's literally like a horrifying thing that that girl obviously didn't deserve. But what does that have to do with what we're talking about right
yeah.
now?
And then Emma was like, I did not know about your cousin, you
Like,
know.
obviously, like, why
Yeah,
would I know about your cousin? And I feel like that same logic for me applies to the people who are like complaining about the movie in the sense that they feel like it didn't do enough when it comes to the topic of school shootings. I'd be like,
yeah,
what does that have to do with this movie? This movie was for entertainment purposes only. So if you expected anything other than that, it doesn't mean school shootings aren't important. It just means that, like,
yeah,
what does one thing have to do with the other right now? I would say
yeah,
probably not a ton. I think there are so many resources out there on this kind of topic. So why would you expect that from this one? Like,
yeah,
they're use an actual resource, and I feel like y'all are doing a lot of talk. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know.
And I feel like
Mm-mm.
Rachel's boyfriend at the time, I feel like he wasn't taking it as offensive as Rachel
No.
was. It seemed like he understood that it was serious, but at the same time, he wasn't, going nuts talking about, I don't, cursing her out. I don't want to see you ever again, this and that. It was just kind of like, this is a very serious topic that he probably wasn't expecting because they're just having wine, at the dinner
Mm-hmm.
table, talking about funny stories and stuff. But he knows that Emma is Emma. The Emma that he knows wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah, and
So,
I think that's the important part
yeah,
too. It's like, is there a different Emma or is it the same person? And I think that's where everybody's just gonna fall into like a different
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yep. That's where where the bridge parts.
Super
It's like,
interesting too.
yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
I would say like we don't get as many like conversation starting movies like this anymore. Like this was just super original
yeah.
one. And then two, it's just really gotten everybody talking and debating. And I think it's interesting to see kind of how everyone interprets it a little bit differently. Objectively as a film, what are we gonna convict this of?
I'm going to, because we did a lot of yapping. I'm gonna give it an infraction because I was like, you remember the end of the movie? Like everything just went to crap. Like it went crazy. You have Emma bringing Misha into the room. Misha's talking about, oh, I didn't mean to, and Emma doesn't know what she's talking about, and then it's completely different than what's going on. Then they both come out. Charlie is giving his speech. He starts going crazy, and then for some reason, Misha tells her boyfriend at that moment in time, oh,
What?
you're gonna tell your boyfriend he sexually assaulted me. And then after your boyfriend knocks him in the face, you talk about use your words. What do you mean? What
She's
did you
actually so
expect?
funny.
Talking about, I told you to use your words, but you're going to tell your boyfriend that he sexually assaulted you. I'm
At his
like,
wedding.
yeah, yeah, at his wedding on top
Like,
of
why'd
that.
you bring him if it like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Why'd you bring him? And then like on top of that, I mean, of course she'd have to tell him at some point, but
I
then
would
it's just
say like not there though.
yeah, just not there. But oh my gosh, like I was kind of like I wasn't even watching that at like because I was like kind of like this because it was just so embarrassing. Like him trying to say a speech, so embarrassing. The whole fight that breaks out, everything just goes to mess, you know. And then at the end of the movie, it was cute because like I said, like there are romance parts. I mean, like you said, there are romance parts in the movies where it's like real, it's wholesome because she tries to do this thing with him where it's kind of like let's start over and acts like they're meeting for the first time. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's considerate. And I like how they ended up the movie with them, doing that. But I kind of wish, and maybe it just doesn't matter, but I kind of wish we got to see a bit more, I guess, aftermath of everything.
Mhm.
Because in my head, I'm thinking, I mean, like, how does somebody recover from all of that? How does somebody recover from doing all of that in front of their friends, family, at their wedding? Yeah, it's like it just all started with that little, wine party they had, where they talk about the worst things. I'm never gonna bring that up when I'm never gonna bring that up before my marriage. That's for sure.
No, literally
Yeah,
everybody was like, go watch it with your partner and then sit in the car after
yeah,
and talk about it.
yeah. I might see it tomorrow night with Nate, but
Good luck. You guys have some important questions to ask each other.
yeah. But yeah. What do you give it? What do you think?
Guys, I think this is innocent.
Innocent? Okay, okay,
What can I say? I wouldn't change a thing. I
yeah,
loved it. It was so original. I just that already like earned my respect because I'm
yeah,
like people don't have ideas anymore. So this was great. The acting, I bought into everyone's performance. Everybody.
hmm,
Like it was so good and it fit the tone perfectly. I thought the comedic delivery was great.
yeah,
The drama was great. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was still like on the edge of your seat the whole time. And
yeah,
so I didn't feel like anything was unrealistic. It just felt like a lot. And it was great. It was nice to go to a movie and the whole theater be like really engaged. Like my theater, everybody was like gasping and like screaming and like laughing, and I thought that was really good, and it's good writing to get the
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
to be pulled into it like that. The ending at first, I almost gave it an infraction because of the ending, because I just was like, oh, we're just gonna wrap it up like this. But I low-key, I think that's the point. Emma has been consistent the whole time, and I really like that they never really made her character waver in any
Mhm.
way. If you think about it, like, she was a very open and forgiving person in the beginning, and in the end, she was still the same. She kept trying
Yeah,
to give him chance after chance to start over. In the end, she's still doing that. So it feels like,
yeah.
to some, it might feel like unfair to her. Like, he should have met her where she was at earlier,
Oh, she
which,
was very forgiving.
yeah, and, like, the fact that he cheated, like, the week of your
Yeah, I
wedding
made
and
it
you just kinda blow it
worse.
off, but I think in her head, again, she knows what it's like
Mhm.
to be labeled for your worst mistake, so I don't think there's a world in which she does that. I also don't think there's a world in which he takes advantage of it, because I think he genuinely is a good guy who just, like, had a crash out moment,
Yeah.
and so I actually don't think they're gonna have, like, many problems. Like, if he really
No.
is dropping it, if he's really dropping it, I actually don't think they're gonna have problems often at all.
Yeah.
So, I just felt like it was very realistic for a couple like that to, like, literally just drop it and start over and have a happy ending. I think sometimes we have movies that give a happy ending that feels undeserved. I feel like they earned that. And
Right.
so I feel like it was okay with me. I think it would have been nice to have, like, more of an epilogue, like you said, where we see what's happening after the fact, maybe jump forward like 3 years so we know
Yeah.
everything's okay. But,
Yeah. I'm not trying to see the
you
next
know,
day.
yeah. So that would have been cool, but honestly, like, I'm not even pressed about it. It was just great. Honestly, I think it was just a really well-written script. I was a fan. I would see it again.
Yeah, I
It's
am.
so good. I've
So that's
recommended
why
it
my
to everyone.
that's why my infraction is small. It's a small infraction. But yeah, I
Yeah.
am going to see it again. I'm kind of excited to see it again, just to kind of
Yeah.
like, now that I'm past it, like I can see it again and actually see it in full, because there were points in the movie where I was just kind of like, I just had my hands over my eyes, like I'm not trying to see or listen to this awkward conversation. But I think I'll get through it this second time around.
Yeah. I was so satisfied with this. So, box officer approved.
Yeah,
We loved this movie, and it was just too good. It was a yummy movie. This week we reviewed the drama. Next week we will be back here reviewing You, Me, and Tuscany. I don't want to see it. So,
yeah. I saw the trailer for it. I was just kind of, I
yeah,
wasn't too excited about it, but it's my
honestly,
job, folks. I
we're
gotta
we're locked in. The box
clean the streets
officers
up.
are on the case.
Yeah,
Yes. And so we'll see how we feel about it. But hey, look, I didn't know how I felt about this one either. Went
yeah,
into it anyways, and I loved it. It was art. Shout out to everybody over there. Everybody who worked on this is a genius.
yeah.
So congratulations to you guys. Hope to
Drop
say the same
A24.
next week. Yes. Lots of things coming up. We're very excited. If you guys have any thoughts on the drama, please share them with us. We would love to hear your perspective. Like, comment,
Yeah,
subscribe. Let us know what you think. Otherwise, we will see you guys back here next Wednesday on the Box Officers Podcast.
yeah. I say cut. Yeah, yeah.